Welcome all to yet another video. Dr. RS and you, Science of Cosmetics and Personal Care Products. So we are in the process of discussing the building blocks of a formulation, right? In the building blocks we have discussed first water, the quality of water for personal care, surfactants, emollients, humectants, rheology modifiers, preservatives, antioxidants and chelating agents, antimicrobial agents, colors, perfume. Now we are discussing about the building blocks, the active ingredients that can go in the product for various skin and hair conditions, oral, skin, hair conditions. Now, in the last session, part 23, we discussed about actives for skin moisturization, right? And in that video, I explained that what we are going to discuss here is only even the actives, they are all cosmetics and personal care and cosmeceutical ingredients and not pharmaceutical ingredients. It is not about oral antifungal tablets or antibiotics or other prescription medicines, right? It's going to be just the approved ingredients for cosmetics, cosmeceuticals and personal care products, right? So why I am doing that is, yes, I am as a pharmaceutical scientist, we always go in and look for antibiotics and all those aspects. That is also very important. We should know about all those things, yes. But if you take a profession in a cosmetic industry or a cosmeceutical or personal care industry, you have to deliver some of these benefits without antibiotics and steroids and all the other prescription ingredients. So even now as a curriculum, you have to train yourself what are the possibilities of doing that without getting into pharmaceuticals, right? Of course, if you enter into a pharmaceutical company in a dermatological division, that is one thing. But here, as a discussion, we are going into only cosmetic aspect of it, right? So today, what we are going to discuss, building blocks. Here, we are going to talk about prickly heat. I am talking more on management of prickly heat rather than treatment for prickly heat through personal care. The treatment is very less, one or two, that's it. One or two things we can do. But the management of the patient so that they don't get it, that is also important. That is why building blocks, here I put management of prickly heat. Today will be, so part 24, building blocks, management of prickly heat, right? Management of prickly heat. Now we know how prickly heat is caused. There is apocrine sweat gland, eccrine sweat gland. Eccrine sweat gland is from the time of our birth. It's the sweat, the regular sweat. This is the apocrine sweat, which the apocrine gland is formed only after puberty. Now we are concerned about eccrine sweat gland. This we discussed initially. Common problems associated with skin we discussed, just to review. So when this eccrine gland secretions here gets blocked and the sweat is not coming out, it can get stuck inside and can get infected. right? That is the cause for prickly heat, right? So occurring sweat, getting entrapped, getting infected, that is the cause for prickly heat, right? Simple. Now, how can prickly heat be defined? Prickly heat, it's also called miliaria, right? So prickly heat, technically called as miliaria, also called as sweat rash or heat rash, is a skin disease marked by small itchy rashes due to sweat trapped under the skin, clogged by sweat gland ducts. Miliaria is a common ailment in hot, humid conditions such as in tropics and during summer season. Although it affects people of all ages, it is especially common in children and infants, right? Why it's small children frequently get heat rash? Because their sweat glands are immature and they cannot get rid of the sweat as they produce. This is common when children are overdressed. That's why I said management of prickly heat, or of course have fever. No, when there is a fever, when the temperature drops, profuse sweating, right? Overdressing is one thing. And another thing, excessive use of heavy creams, ointments or lotions may make heat rash worse, right? So excessive use of heavy creams, ointment, lotions may make heat rash worse, right? Now, what are the symptoms? Small red spots, an itchy, prickly feeling, redness and mild swelling, right? As if something is pricking, no, that sort of feeling, right? Prickly heat. Miliaria can be classified into 4. Miliaria crystalline and the other 3. I will come to that. Miliaria crystalline, this is the first. This is most superficial obstruction, right? Blister-like lesions will be formed. This is the start of the prickly heat. The second condition, miliaria. So this is miliaria crystalline, right? Miliaria rubra, this is the common condition. The most commonly encountered form of the illness is miliaria rubra, in which obstruction causes leakage of sweat into deeper layers of the epidermis, provoking a local inflammatory reaction and giving rise to the typical appearance of redness. That's why rubra. So, intense itching, pins and needles, like pins and needles pricking, no, that sort of intense itching. This condition is specifically known as prickly heat or heat rash. So, the typical prickly heat is miliaria rubra, right? So, the next condition is miliaria profunda. Miliaria profunda. It's the most severe form, right? Where you can see white papules, no, with pus. White papules with pus. And the fourth stage is miliaria pustulosa. This is the fourth stage, right? Here, inflammation and bacterial infection and pustules, right? This is the most severe condition of the so-called prickly heat. the most common condition of prickly heat is Miliaria rubra. Miliaria rubra is the common condition, but Miliaria pustulosa is a severe condition. So, how prickly heat can be managed? Only simple things: wear loose cotton clothings, use lightweight bedding, take cool baths or showers, drink plenty of fluid to avoid dehydration. Right? This or the management of miliaria. Then apply something cold such as damp cloth or ice pack for no more than 20 minutes. Keep that place cool. Tap or pat the rash instead of scratching it. Don't use perfumed shower gels or creams. Don't use perfumed shower gels or creams. If possible, stay in an air conditioned place, right, if possible. Right? So, don't use perfumed shower gels or creams, right? What are the two things you can apply on the skin, right? Two things. The best thing is calamine lotion, right? Calamine lotion is very good for prickly heat. Calamine is what? It's a zinc oxide coated with iron oxide. Calamine lotion works very well on prickly heat, right? Especially Miliaria rubra, the second stage, it works very well. Aloe gel, unperfumed aloe gel, right? You can put it for a cooling, soothing action, right? So, these two are the treatment for prickly heat, right? And it has to be more managed, right? More managed in the sense, don't put tight clothing. The clothing should be very, very loose, preferably cotton, because cotton absorbs. Sometimes sandalwood paste is used for prickly heat, or some other herbal powders. You have to be very careful that, especially sandalwood paste, some children are allergic to some of the smell they are allergic to. So whenever and if you are putting a sandalwood paste, you have to make it in your house with that sandalwood stick, and then you have to make it, because most of the sandalwood powder, cheap sandalwood powders available outside, they are all mixed with a lot of other things. So first of all, the child you have to be very careful. Child should not react to the sandalwood perfume, strong sandalwood odor when you apply. That is very, very important. Take care before using the other natural ingredients. Thank you. Now, this is what I would like to share with you on prickly heat. So, as usual, before I end, I talk about my life lessons. In part 24, the life lesson is balance your self-esteem with humility. Your self-esteem should not make you proud. No, self-esteem, if you balance it with humility, that is a fantastic thing. That is what I want to share with you. And let us catch up in the next session. Till then, bye.